All right, so you're still here on the AM show, and one of the issues we're looking at is, should the fourth Republican Constitution be overhauled, reviewed, or be completely done away with? It's a question we're asking you on Facebook. We'd engage some key personalities on this issue as well. Today also marks a year since President Akufo-Addo was sworn in for a second term. We were asking how you would assess this first year. The rest of the show will be dedicated to the African Cup of Nations tournament, which kicks off in Cameroon this Sunday. In fact, we're starting that conversation right now. It's taking place on the backdrop of a conflict in that country amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. But it's also an opportunity for Ghana's Black Stars to get Ghanaians to believe in them again as they work to bring back the love. So let's talk about the sport that Ghanaians love, football. This morning, Muftah Abdullahi has joined me in the studio, and later we're going to be having some pundits as well. So, Muftah, what AFCON is happening?
Easy. It's been 40 years of emotional torture, 40 years of chasing that elusive fit title. Many Ghanaians have invested a lot of emotions, a lot of resources into this Black Stars team. Is this an opportunity for us to finally lift that trophy? Well, it's a question we are going to be engaging our experts, our pundits, who are coaches, who are specialists. There are people who understand what football is all about, and they will be better placed to tell us whether the Black Stars is actually a team capable of doing that. And we have Faisal Yusuf Chipsa, who is head of recruitment for Charlotte FC, based in the United States.
All right.
We'll also be joined by our very own Oreko Ampofo. He will be covering the tournament for Opta analyst, and Coach Ebenezer Sefa, as well as Coach Abubakar Dampa. These are the people who will be speaking to us about the African Cup of Nations. Right on your screen right now is, on your right on the screen is Faisal Chipsa. He's the younger brother of Yusuf Chipsa, former former Black Stars player, former captain of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, former captain of the Ghana Olympic team that participated in the 2004 Olympics in Athens. And then on your left is Oreko Ampofo, covering the tournament for Opta analyst. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for joining us for the AM's show.
Thank you too, Muftah.
Morning, thank you.
I know, Faisal, I know it's quite late at your end, but thanks very much. You've made that time to join us. But first of all, how come we've been chasing this elusive fit title for so long?
I think we've never prepared ourselves to give us a chance to win it. That would be my simple answer. I don't know about you, Oreko. What do you think?
Oreko.
Well, I agree to some extent, but there's always that part in the tournament where you can't really factor for, and I call it luck. I know that you make your own luck in football, and the penalty shootouts in 2015 could have gone another way. Faisal did say that in terms of preparation, if we prepared better for that penalty shootout, I'm sure Ghana would have won it, with Ivory Coast missing their first two. So we've come close a number of times, but it's a tough one, especially if you look at it from 2008 to 2017, where we made the semi-finals consistently, right? Yeah. It's 7 different tournaments, and we got to 2 finals. You can't come closer than that. And usually when you look at tournament track records, teams who get this close usually get some form of, chance to redeem themselves. But it's a strange one for the Black Stars. They never seem to learn from, reaching such a, close stage and getting so close to the trophy. But yeah, I think that unfortunately that window is over. Ghana is probably not going to be dominant for a while now. So it's a tough one, but I think it's a mixture of preparation and maybe just a little bit of luck.
Right. Israel, just before you come in, let me go to Faisal on this one. The 2006 African Cup of Nations, Cote d'Ivoire were in the final. They lost to Egypt, right? 2012 they were in the final. They lost to Zambia. 2015 when they met Ghana, they won. But Ghana, we have been to the final. 2010. 1992, 2010, 2015. We lost out. But Cote d'Ivoire, on their third time, they won it. So let me throw this question to Faisal, because you are the people who often do lots of analysis in terms of who does what on the pitch and what it takes to win matches. How come Cote d'Ivoire were able to do it on their third time, but on the third time, Ghana still lost out?
That's a very open question. You can never really analyze a situation and say why, because there is always this 1% luck, just like Oweku alluded to. But overall, again, for me, I think it comes down to preparation. And if you look at the years you mentioned now, if you go from year to year, I would say, what was the succession plan from year 1 to year 2? Okay, what actually went wrong? Did we sit down to analyze the situation and find what we had to do the next year or the following year to give ourselves a chance? And I think for the most part, I don't think we need that. I don't think we did that, in my opinion here. So that has always been the problem for us. And there is a lot of chop and change from one AFCON to the other. There's never been like a plan or a progression from one AFCON to the other one. So it's always been difficult. And if you continue to work in that environment like that, I think it's difficult to say, okay, you have a plan that needs to be followed. So to give yourself a chance. If you look at Algeria, from the last AFCON to now, I can say there's a big group of players that have been maintained and a few added going into this AFCON. Now you can say, okay, there is a bit of consistency here. That makes things a lot easier compared to what we've done in the past, where the player has always been, okay, player A not good enough. Let's get rid of him and bring in player B. Maybe we have maintained player A and done a bit of work with player A. We could have given ourselves a chance. But for the most part, it's always been chop and change. There's no plan, no progression, and you're not going to give yourself a chance to compete in the final if you work in that environment or in that way.
All right. And I'd like to, agree with Chipsa when he says that lack of preparation. And for me, I'd actually put it this way. It's the lack of consistent preparation, consistency.
A deliberate plan.
In our preparation.
Yes.
And on the back of all of that, then I also say we have also not been deliberate about devoting resources to the Black Stars. Yeah. Because we approach it this way. At some point, yes,
quite haphazard, isn't it?
There's some funding.
Yes.
And there's no funding. We're giving them this. We can't give them that. But it doesn't help for putting a team together. No. Is it the Algerian team or one of these teams that's coming to the tournament? They're coming with their own. They came in Morocco. Yes. They came in their own plane. They're coming with a whole lot of people who are going to be taking over staff. Yeah. They're going to be taking over the hotel, making sure that they're taking good care of them, their food and everything else. If you're having a team that's preparing this well, playing against a team that's just coming into the tournament, walking into the tournament, how do you expect to perform so well? Yeah. So maybe what has been happening to us all this while is we've just been riding on some luck. Okay?
Like Oweku mentioned.
But that's not the way you win tournaments. Yeah. And if you're that well prepared, we wouldn't find ourselves in a position where we're depending on luck. Okay? Yeah. Because if you're playing so well, you're going to win during relegation time. And doesn't have to come down to penalties where you're going to depend on luck.
But the Africa Cup is quite interesting. If you look at the trajectory of the tournament, 2006, it was penalty kicks. 2008, these people, Egypt won by 1-0, beating Cameroon. 2010, Egypt won again 1-0, beating Ghana. 2012, penalty kicks. 2013, penalty kicks. 2015, penalty kicks. 2017. So the story of the AFCON mostly has been one on penalty kicks. But we'll be talking about the Morocco team very soon. But before that, let's take a look at the decision of CAF and FIFA to release the players quite late, with barely 5 days to the start of the competition. And this one, let me start with Oweku. Is this a move that probably derailed the plans of most coaches for this competition, and definitely is going to have a huge impact on how teams are going to perform in this competition?
Well, I think the repercussions of that decision would probably stretch all along through the tournament. And you can clearly see from the media coverage. Yeah. Look, there are a lot of people out there who only found out that AFCON would be taking place this week. And that's because we're supposed to be seeing, friendlies left, right, center with about 2 weeks, a week and a half to a tournament. But unfortunately, the situation that most teams found themselves in is that teams were releasing their key players really, really close to the tournament. And I'm a bit surprised that CAF would take such a decision, because the star power in African football is growing, and quite a number of teams have key players in European sides. And so taking such a decision is essentially, just cutting them off their foot, because what you want to have is that you're going into a tournament where you would go deep. This isn't a World Cup qualifier where you play just 190 minutes. You need strategy. You need planning long term. You need to, there are a lot of factors that you have to consider. That's why the Black Stars booked Doha for about 3 weeks. But, I spoke to a couple of players who, as at last week, Milo was just training with 7-8 players. What's the point of a camp if you're going to have just a quarter of your whole squad? That's not even enough to put up a starting 11. So it's really, really disappointing. And I think that it's going to affect a lot of teams. However, on the other end, this is where the teams who decided to enter transition early would benefit. So you saw a team like Algeria come up, play the friendly, and it looked as if they were not affected. Riyad Mahrez didn't even have to play. Benrahma came on in the second half. And that's because they've been going through this period for a very long time. They're on a good trajectory, played the Arab Cup even without these key players. So they have a good core without their European players. Morocco, you can also say similar. However, the Black Stars, I think that we decided to take this path of transition a bit too late. We had the chance to take it earlier. And if you look at our squad, about 50% of them would be playing in their first ever AFCON. And so it's a whole new experience for the team. And I think overall it's going to affect the intensity, and we would end up seeing a lot of surprises, because quite a number of teams are ill prepared. And it might just favor, the teams I stated enter transition really early. So it could go either ways, but my opinion is that I was really, really disappointed.
Faisal, as a coach, if you were in the shoes of Milo or any other African coach, what would have been the most appropriate solution to this challenge thrown at you by CAF and FIFA?
Look, I think we cannot shift the blames on the European coaches. I think CAF would have to take a bit of blame here as well, because they let the decision so late as to if AFCON was going to continue or not. And for the European coaches, they need to know ahead of time, because at some point we were like, okay, AFCON doesn't look likely. And then there were a series of meetings, and then, okay, let's move forward with the AFCON. But for the coaches here now, let's be mindful of this. The game has evolved a lot, that if you take Liverpool, for instance, okay, chasing the title, you are going to lose 2-3 of your best players, okay? That's a tough one to swallow. So again, for them, they want to maximize any opportunity they can get here. If they can hold on to their players until like June 9th, they will love to do it. But it all comes with the leadership at CAF. This, for me, should have been sorted weeks ahead. So again, the European clubs can plan ahead as to when they want to release their players or not. But we left it so late, and it got to the point where FIFA would have to step in. But again, that speaks to where we are now with African football. What is the direction? Which way are we going? Do we want to take this to the next level? Are we evolving as the world is or not? For a coach like Milo, again, I thought ways to solve this out, and just like people have been doing in recent times, is to move some stuff online. You don't always have to wait for your players to assemble before you can begin working. Now it's a lot more easier to even coach online now. Again, you miss that connection, that in-person meeting, which is always good to have. But until you get to that stage, there are tons of stuff you can do with your players online. And it only takes about 10, 15 minutes to prepare them. Just like Iweku said, Algeria came in and it felt like they've been camping for months. And we walked into a game, a bunch of 11 players, almost like learning a new language for the first time because we had no clue how to communicate and work together as a team on the pitch. I think that's going to be the difference here for the teams that are prepared, for the teams that have done some work online, and ready for the tournament. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much. Just stay with me. I've been joined in the studio by Coach Ebenezer Sefa. He's one man who's been scouting a lot of the players. He's someone who's worked with the likes of DG Domani, the likes of Coach Ibrahim Thanko and co. So he's well versed into issues in relation to the national team. And also on the phone is Coach Abubakar Damba. He was part of that 1992 African Cup of Nations squad that lost it to Cote d'Ivoire. And they will join Oriku and then Faisal for us to continue with this conversation. But let me come to Coach Sefa. We were just talking about the decision of CAF and FIFA to release the players very late. Despite that, if you take a look at the friendly match Ghana played against Algeria, Milo decided to field a team many people think that it's not Ghana's first choice. If you're playing your last friendly match heading into a tournament, one would have thought you play your best players, find the loopholes, and find a way of filling them. But he did not do that.
Personally, I was surprised. I mean, Partey played on Saturday.
Yes.
The guys in the EPL all came together.
Yeah.
Amatic played 90 minutes against the Algerians. So why was Jordan not played? And we talk of Iyadon came in the second half. So I was thinking of probably in the first 30 minutes, even if the guys are tired, try to put them there. I was not looking at the scoreline. I was looking at how we are going to face a typical North African side like the Moroccans, and they have the same thinking, they have the same attitude, their style of play to the Algerians are the same. So why play Amate on the right side of defense whilst he's not going to mount that position? Yeah. So I had a little difficult to understand why he did that. But for me, I felt it was bad for him to have done that because we had the opportunity of playing a friendly on the first. It couldn't happen because of the late arrival of the players. The second friendly match couldn't come. So you have opportunity of playing the African champions out of 39 games they've never lost. Yeah. So you don't go do experiment.
And now it is 40 games. After
beating us, it's now so you don't go to do experiment with players that you think that you've invited for the first time. Yeah. I talk about Joseph Pentel, Thomas Partey, and of course Edmond Ado. The first time these three players are playing together. And the engine of the team. Whilst you have Wakasu, I think probably you are going to start him. You have Partey, you have Idrisu, you have Andre Ayew. Yeah. Place them there and let's see how organized they are in terms of goalkeeping, your transition, your defensive principles. Let's see how they organize themselves, even when they lose possession. Yes, you have Baba Rahman on the bench.
Win the ball back.
You have Baba Rahman on the bench. Yeah. I mean, Gideon Mensah is a very young, good player, very excellent player. But during the qualifiers, you rely mostly on Baba Rahman. Yeah. Why was he on the bench throughout the 90 minutes? He never changed. So for me, maybe he has a different plan for Ghana against the Moroccans. Other than that, I was disappointed why he did that.
Coach Abubakar Damba, thanks very much for joining us. Many said that most of the goals Ghana conceded were individual errors, especially from goalkeepers. You are a specialist in this area. You have manned that very post for the Black Stars before. Do we have the right goalkeepers headed into this competition, Damba?
Business. And one more time, Happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
I must say, in as much as we will look at these errors, the goalkeeping errors as being individual, here, is there a cooperation between the defense and the goalkeeper? That is a question that we need to ask. But all these things, the video analysts will have to break it down and analyze it functionally. Look at them as individual players and also in their lines. But that notwithstanding, I still expected that the goalkeeper could adjust himself quickly to deal with the situation. We are a little bit shaky in the goalkeeping department. but we have not lost it completely because with goalkeeper, I tell you, the mistake is final. So I try very much not to be too critical, not to be too direct and too personal, because we never know what were the situations that were happening there, what was happening in the mind of the goalkeeper, what were the issues before, during the game. So we try to restrain ourselves in a little bit. But to be honest with you, our goalkeepers must take responsibility. They need to be up and doing because opportunities come, not always. And they have been given lots of opportunities to prove themselves. But I think that they are performing a little bit under the belt. So my brother, holistically, this is what I'll say about the department.
Okay, let's take a look at the full squad Milovan Rajvat has put together for the competition, the 28-man squad. You have Nuruddin in there, Philemon Bafo, you're a very own good player,
yeah.
Gideon Mensah and co. And from the goalkeepers, we have Joseph Wallacott, we have Abdul Manaf Nuruddin, we have Richard Atta of Hearts of Oak, Lawrence Atizigi. And let me just stay with Abubakar Ndamba on this. Are these the best goalkeepers we could assemble for the competition?
Well, this is very subjective. Very, very, very subjective. Everybody has an opinion. And at this stage, opinions don't really count. Opinions don't really matter. Because we are at the competition now. So we have got to assume, without admitting, that these are the best goalkeepers that we can assemble.
Okay.
A coach is put in charge.
Okay.
He knows which goalkeepers can help him to achieve, to realize his,
his
objectives, his aims.
Yeah.
These goalkeepers are not here for the first time. They have been around for some time now. And you and I know, since Razak Brame's time, Atizigi has been
deputy for a very long time.
A very long time.
Yes.
So the question I will always ask, with all due respect to Atizigi, I love him, I respect him, and I always want him to be better and better and better. But the question I ask is that, how many opportunities
do you need?
Does he want?
Okay, let's take a look at the defenders now. We'll take a look at the defenders that were put together by the coaches for the African Cup of Nations. We have Andy Iyadom, Philemon Bafo, Bara Rahman, Gideon Mensah, Daniel Amartey, Alexander Jiku, Jonathan Mensah, and Khalid Abdul Mumin. These are the defenders for the competition. Let's go to them.
I think these are wonderful players in their own as individuals.
Yes. But we need them as a unit.
We are talking about a team, playing as a team, playing as a line. So these players who have played together for some time will always be a better option. It is not time for try and error.
Okay.
Amartey plays week in, week out in his club.
Yes.
Jiku we see over a period of time playing for Ghana.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic. He's been excellent. He's been great. Baba Rahman playing on the left side, yes, gradually he's gaining back his form.
Yeah.
We all know what he went through and all that. Yeah. But he's working so hard, he's gaining back his form. So I think that these defense are not doing badly at all.
Okay.
It is Jonathan Mensah who has been in and out, and out. And we are all relying on his experience. But is his experience enough? We are talking about physical condition to be able to deal with the situations as they come. Is experience or maturity enough?
I think having worked with Milo, I think Milo will probably trust him more than other players in the team. Don't you think so?
Yes,
because they've worked together before.
Why will Milo trust him? The player is only as good as the last game that he played.
Okay. So you stay with me. You stay with me because you mentioned something of it. Okay.
Jonathan Mensah of yesteryears.
Yes.
It's not the Jonathan Mensah of today.
Well noted.
In terms of maturity, in terms of experience, well, great.
Okay.
But physical condition.
You have your
physical condition. And also the teammates that he's playing with. Okay. How is it going to go?
Okay, so coach, just stay on for me. You mentioned something of interest for me that had to do with how he positioned himself when Gideon Mensah was moved in and out. And I want to take a look at the whole squad before I come to Coach Ebenezer Sefa and then Yusuf Faisal, to talk to us about the shape of the team. So let's take a look at the midfielders put together by the coaches for the competition. In this, we have the likes of Thomas Partey and co in there. So Baba Idrisu, we have Edmond Ado, Thomas Partey, Mubarak Wakaso. Unfortunately, we can report that Mubarak Wakaso has been injured for a very long time. Doctors are working so hard on getting him to be fit for the competition. We are unsure even if he would kick a ball in this competition. But let's take a look at the whole midfielders that have been put together by the coaches. We have Mohamed Kudus. He's also not in camp because of injury. Then we have Daniel Kofi Chire, David Abagna Sandan, and Salis Abdul Samed. He has been dropped from the squad because he also got injured and he's not going to the competition. We move to the wingers or the strikers or the other players that the coaches have invited for the competition, where you are going to see the likes of Abdul Fattah Isahako, Samuel Owusu, Kamaldeen Suleiman. We cannot understand why Kamaldeen Suleiman is still not in camp. I don't know if he has arrived, but as of yesterday, he was still not in camp. Dede Ayew, Joseph Pencil, who had an incredible game in the last friendly match against Algeria. Then the forwards, who are the men going to lead the line for us? We have Jordan Ayew. We have Richmond Boakye Yiadom, who was maligned on social media for the performance against Algeria. Coach, I'll be coming to you soon. Maxwell Abekwe. Felix Afenajan too, he's also not going, so he has been dropped. And then Benjamin Tete. Coach, Abubakar Damba mentioned something quite interesting about the positioning of Jonathan Mensah when Ghana conceded the first goal. Others also questioned his positioning when he scored that own goal, because they would tell you that based on how the ball was coming, he should have been able to hit the ball with his left leg out instead of trying to clear with his right, which ended up going into the net. Talk to us about the shape of the team. I will come into Faisal because I see him often drawing shapes of teams.
Faisal. Well, I think that it was lack of communication.
Okay.
Well, he didn't position himself well. I mean, Gideon Mensah was taken to the line.
Yes.
He was damming in and out again.
Yes.
In terms of defensive principle, Jonathan Mensah should have known better.
Yeah.
And
not
him alone. I mean, Amateu, Juku, these are guys who are playing day in and day out of their various clubs.
Yes.
So when it comes to defensive principle, they should have known. And let me pick one instant: communication. So I thought that they lack communication between him and the goalkeeper, because if they have communicated well, I don't think that ball, the one he scored himself, would have happened. And even the decision to use his right foot and the right place to kick the ball was wrong. And this is not basic per his level. He should have done better. Yes, players scored own goals. I mean, it could be a deflection or probably mistake and all that. But per the position he was. And why did he find it? Because between him and the goalkeeper, it was just a cute angle.
Yes.
And I had expected him to do much better. But I believe that they never communicated.
Well,
but the shape of the team, I was talking about regular players. We know Baba Rahman, that Damba spoke about. We know Andy Yiadom, Daniel Amati, and of course Juku. These are guys that below himself have been used. So they know who to stay, who to go, who to press, who to communicate, and all that. They know all this. But if you try to experiment in a game against an Algerian side, this is how it happens.
Faisal, you had spoken a lot about team shape, team transitioning. I saw you draw some lines about how the Algerians were able to transition so well in the game, and you even touted them as the favorites or one of the favorites to win the competition. Talk to us about the structure of the Ghana team. What did not go right for us? And how do we approach the game on Monday against Morocco?
Just, to put that in simple terms, and what we see with this Algerian side did not happen in 2 weeks in Doha or 3 weeks in Algeria. It's 2 years of work. I was fortunate enough to cover the Arab Cup for an analysis project I was working on. And boy, that Algerian team is very good. Very, very good.
Wow.
And what makes them so good is just the understanding. The roles and responsibilities, they've been clearly defined. There's clarity, there's communication. Sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's not verbal. They just have that understanding among themselves, and it works so well. That's what I would call a team. Unfortunately, that's where we are yet to reach. And
so at this point, we're not a team.
We don't. I think we have a bunch of quality individuals. That's a fact. But how can we get them to work together? That's where I think we are lacking now. And that's when I've heard most people say, you know what, for tournaments, you don't need a style, you don't need identity, you just have to go and win. But unfortunately, that's just not true. You just can't win without a style. I don't care how pretty it looks, whether it's sexy, whether it's entertaining, you really have to have a clear way to play. In some way, that's communication. You need players to communicate together. Like I said, sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's not verbal. Similar, a good example would be the second goal we considered on the left. Yeah. And Coach Tambad said Jonathan was maybe far away from Gideon.
And that is even on our shot right now. So
so here we go. This is one way of solving it. But the other way, I could also say maybe a right winger or left winger.
And see the position of Samuel Owusu over there. He didn't even bother to cover up. See that of Jonathan Mensah as well.
So again, that right there for me, there are different ways to solve it. Jonathan could be the second defender acting as support, and he was far away. I get it. But don't forget, he's also got men in his area that he needs to be aware of. So maybe Samuel Owusu could have helped. Yeah. And it happened so quick that they fell asleep at some point. In 1 second, everything just changed. Yeah. So this completely tells us that we are not all on the same page. We are not all singing from the same hymn book. Some players are just, doing their own thing, and you can tell the individual brilliance. Yeah. I thought Joseph Kante was good. Yeah. Patao showed some glimpses of good moments. Yeah. Partey was quality. So again, what we are facing now is how can we get these guys to work together? And that's all comes with time with the team, away from the campaign. And unfortunately, we've not been able to do that. And that's why you see the guys struggle on the pitch there. Clarity is just not there. The real definition of how we want to defend or want to attack is just not there. There are moments where you saw Partey running around. I think we were second if he was playing an Arsenal team where they lose possession and then everybody just quickly squeezes and defend. But he was just by himself. There was nobody else going with him. Yeah. So again, there was no definition of how they want to regain possession when we lose it in that game. And that's why we are struggling. We're just not working together as a group. And that's what, unfortunately, Miller will have to do in the next couple of days before Monday. Is it too late? I think so. But this is a time where you rely on experience. How can the guys on the pitch be able to come up with solutions on the pitch and get the younger ones to follow? It really is going to be a long AFCON for us, unfortunately.
Let me go to Oreku. Oreku, this is the 5th game Milo has played since taking over the Black Stars job. He played twice against Zimbabwe, the other one against Ethiopia, then South Africa. This was his 5th game. Do you think it is about time we see an identity, just as Faisal mentioned? Come on, we were playing, he couldn't even see what the boys were supposed to do with the ball. Who goes where? Who positions where? For what ball? What sort of pass should be delivered? The transitioning. Is it about time we see such a picture? Or is it something that we shouldn't be too worried about?
I think there's all So I was saying that I think there's always a little bit more leeway when it comes to national team football, and that's because unlike club football, you don't have a lot of time with the boys to implement what your vision is and all that. If you look at Milo and the time that he's had, the first games that he played, there were still hints of Sika Kono's squad because of how close it was to his appointment and all that. So this is like really the first time he's got to look around and pick the boys that he feels can do the job and play according to, what his vision is. But then you also have to factor this period that he's only had about 8, 9 players for majority of the time in camp. So he's not had the best of preparations with this new Black Star setup. But of course, he's an experienced coach. He's been with the team before, and you would expect him to bank on, something like that and be able to implement that with the players. However, I do believe, he still does need some more time with the players. There were actually good periods in that second half going forward, especially at the beginning of the second half, where Ghana seemed to be able to, press the Algerians and actually move the ball well, creating a couple of chances. And so I think that it's a long-term project. You look at this team, average age around 25.1 years, and it's unfortunate that we started our transition so close to a major tournament. So I'm going to look at this AFCON as a set of competitive friendlies for Milo van Rijvaart. I think the real target is the World Cup qualifier.
No, that target is for him to go and win the AFCON. There's $300,000 placed there for him. Win the AFCON and come and take it.
Yeah, that's what's on paper.
Yes.
But I being as realistic as possible, I don't see Ghana as part of the favorites. Of course, there are always teams with outside chances, and Ghana has history and can pull a surprise. But from where I sit, it looks very, very unlikely. I think going forward, a lot more has to be done in terms of creating patterns of play. So I think the best game that Milo had was the one against Zimbabwe in Ghana, where he won by 3-1. Ever since then, the team is averaging about 3 shots on target per game, and they're just not creating enough chances. And as I said, it would take a lot of time to be able to put all these different personalities together and get them gelling and, creating chances going forward.
Oreku, you've mentioned some numbers that have gotten me very interested. You mentioned the average age, which is about 25.1. You've mentioned the average shots we make per game under Milo van Rijvaart. You are covering this competition for Opta. This clearly tells us that you're going to be doing loads of numbers. What are our numbers like going into the competition?
Well, it doesn't look too good. If you look at the Opta predictor, which is a model built on artificial intelligence, putting a lot of factors, looking at your FIFA ranking over the past years, your key players, your history in the tournament, the group that you find yourself in, and the possible path to the final. Yeah. And for the Black Stars, the AI gave Ghana a 7.1% chance of winning the tournament, and that's quite low. I think about 12 or so. I don't have the exact position, but about 10 teams above Ghana when it comes to. Of course, it's a machine and is using just pure factors. There are some factors that a machine cannot consider, especially in football. Against Morocco, where Ghana are not tipped to win, the game could start, Morocco could get a red card, and all of a sudden odds do change. But
this is a wish.
From where we sit, Ghana is not favorite. However, the Black Stars are tipped to finish second and finish second the group. Right behind, Morocco.
Okay.
And finishing second would mean that the Black Stars would end up meeting whoever finishes second in Group A.
Yes.
So that's where Ghanaians have to pray that the host nation, Cameroon, don't finish second. Because if they do, we could be facing the host in the round of 16, which, as you know, you don't want to.
A repeat of what happened in 2017 when we met them in the African Cup. But let me come to Coach Abubakar Damba, and we are ushering the conversation into the Monday game. But before I speak to Abubakar Damba, let me take a look at the whole squad of Morocco, because this is a team that many have said that, considering what Hervé Renard did with them before they brought in Valihod, many of them believe that Morocco is a team that is capable of winning the African Cup of Nations. Let's take a look at the whole squad of Morocco heading into the African Cup of Nations 2021. They've been one of the teams many have said that they are one of the favorites to win the competition. For goalkeepers, you have Yassine Bono. He plays for Sevilla. He's the first choice goalkeeper for that matter, going into the competition, African Cup of Nations. Munir El Kajou is also in there. He plays for Yataspor FC. And one of the goalkeepers that is very experienced going into this competition, 32 years. There's Anas Nichi. He's also very experienced, 33 years of age. The defenders for Morocco for the African Cup of Nations 2021, we have Romain Geham Size of Wolverhampton Wanderers, 31 years of age. What an experienced team Morocco is assembling for the competition. Naïd Agued, Stade Rennais in the French Ligue 1, 25 years of age. Then there's also Safian Kalka of OH Leuven, 28 years of age. He's 28 years, value not that much. 25 years of age defender is Sami Mai. He plays for Frank Veros, the former team of Joseph Pinso. Ashraf Hakimi, Paris Saint-Germain, one of the players many speak a lot about. It's just the good news is that he's a defender, so he stays there. Sofia Al-Lakouch of FC Metz. Is he a former teammate of our very own John Boy? Yes. And Sofiane Al-Karouni of Niger, and he's 21 years of age, very young. We also have youngsters in our team. Adam Massina of Watford, he's also there, 27 years, and he has a prize value of about 4 million euros. For the midfielders for this competition that was assembled by Morocco, we have Sofiane Amrabat. Amrabat was in the 2008 African Cup of Nations that was staged no, I'm not sure it was this Amrabat, because he was very experienced in that country. And then there's Ayman Bakok, Eintracht Frankfurt in the German Bundesliga. But do you remember the 2008 African Cup of Nations? We met them, we were in the same group, Ghana beat them. There's Fekal Fajri of Sivasspor, 33 years of age. Then we have Emran Louza of Watford. Wow, what a team Morocco has got for this competition. Not just because of the teams they play for, but because of the quality they have. Elias Cher of Queen's Park Rangers, they are in the championship in England. Salim Al-Mallah of Standard Liège is also in there. Then there's also Azedine Ounahi of Angers, in the French League A as well. Then we have the strikers or the forwards that have been assembled by Morocco. Ace Abdi, FC Barcelona. We're saying there, FC Barcelona, it's just by name. So Ghanaians, don't be worried. Monday we'll have a different team. Munir Al-Hadi, Sevilla FC. He's coming to the African Cup of Nations. He had a protracted, long issue with FIFA over this. Zakaria Abukar is also in there. Alma in the Dutch league. There's also Youssef El Nasri of Sevilla. He's also one of the strikers for this competition. There's Ayub El Kabi of Yatayaspor, 28 years, quite experienced. Ghana, apart from Andre Ayew, who has had a long stay in the team, very experienced. We don't have many. Sefian Boufa of Angers as well is also in there. Res Mai of Frank Varos is also in there again for the African Cup of Nations. And their head coach for the competition, we all know the gentleman who defeated Ghana by 1-0 in a friendly match, Vahid Yalahozid. He's their coach from Bosnia-Herzegovina. Now let me speak to Coach Abubakar Damba. You've seen the squad of Morocco. What is the threat they pose to Ghana on Monday?
Well, thank you very much one more time for having me. All the names that you have mentioned,
yes,
I have to say this. They have a certain footballing DNA that runs through them.
Yes.
They have all gone through a certain structure.
Yes.
They all understand one football language. They have had a structure over a long period of time.
Yes.
So the basics are very right. They have a sequence of doing things according to methods. So putting the players together, so far as they have the basics of football, passing and receiving, great technique, putting them together or bringing them together to play as a team is not that difficult. because they already have a certain game model that they have all been used to. And thankfully, they have a strong, very competitive league system domestically. They play mostly in these competitions. They play lots of games. They have a lot of their players who ply their trade competitively in very strong teams playing for clubs outside the country.
Yes.
So you can understand one thing, that bringing the players together, they do have a particular understanding.
Yeah. To the extent that they could even drop Hakim Ziyech is one thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't want to pick up or to pick out
individual
players
who
will bring individual brilliance.
Yeah.
Ziyech that you just mentioned, we have seen him time and time again playing for Man City.
Chelsea, playing for Chelsea.
Playing for Chelsea.
Yes.
How he operates.
Yeah.
How talented, how technical he is. But all depends on how the coach wants to deploy him on the pitch.
Coach.
Depending also on the kind of players he has around him. But that notwithstanding, Ziyech is a particular player who can change a game within a shortest possible time.
Yes.
So in terms of individual players, individual brilliance, players who can change the game.
Do we have that in our team? Do we have that in our team?
Well, I will say to you that I'm not too sure about that.
Too sure, yeah.
I'm not too sure about that. But we can't rule out that. Because when it comes to dead ball situations, executing of set pieces, at least we can say we have our captain, Dede Ayew, who when it comes to the angle, when it comes to that distance from the goal, from the opponent's goal, he's tried it, he's done it time and time again. Dead ball situations, we can always do some conversions and all that. But is it about just dead ball situations? We are talking about outfield, the game, open game.
Yes.
Open game.
So the
difficulty we have here.
So we must take advantage of the open play, right?
We have to, because that is what takes most of the even though we have what we call individual tactics, fine. But individual tactics comes in when the team tactics is not too forthcoming.
Okay.
But I want you to understand that football has evolved. Football has become so functional. What do you do as a team when you have the ball? What do you do as a team when you don't have the ball? These are the things we are looking at. Football is scientific. It's mathematics.
Yeah. Well
it is no more based on trial and error. You can rely on one player. If they shut him out of the game, what happens to the whole team? We really have an arduous task ahead of us. But just as we say, football is a game full of uncertainties.
Yes.
And anything at all can happen.
So, Ghana, we are relying on the anything.
Then we have to be realistic here. We need to be realistic and bite the bullet. But that notwithstanding, I think we have had a reality check.
Yeah.
Of course. And of course, it serves as a wake-up call. But we have ample time to make adjustments. Time will tell.
The president says we will win. But just before I let you go, the previous experience of Milo playing at the AFCON in 2010, would it count for anything in this competition?
Well, Milo Wanzaivac is a coach, and he's always going to be on the line. The onus or the responsibility lies in the players to come up with solutions when challenges or problems come up on the pitch.
Okay.
Milo cannot step onto the pitch and play football. He can only set up the team, he select the players, set them up according to their roles and responsibilities, and he stays behind the line and he influences the game as and when.
Okay.
But as to solving the football problems on the pitch, it is directly
the onus
at the doorstep of the players.
So, you know one thing that was very critical for Milo in the 2010 African Cup of Nations, most of the goals Ghana scored were from the set pieces. But Coach Abubakar Damba, we appreciate your time very much. If you recall very well, in the 2010...
But before you let me go, who were the main actors?
Kodjo Asamoah Gyan, Opoku Agyeman, Andre Ayew.
And what was the quality of the main actors? I think that
Exceptional.
would be a discussion for another time,
Exceptional. Coach, tell me, the 2010 experience of Milo, will it count for anything in this tournament?
You asked of the quality that Damba asked. Look at that 2010.
That team.
The defense.
But our players, in that competition, to be really honest, most of the senior players were injured. Michael Essien, Sule Muntari, John Pencil, John Mensah, they were all injured. They were all not available. But he was still able to assemble. Yes.
You had a young team that has won a World Cup. That young team that won the World Cup, the day you at that time was playing for Olympic Marseille.
Yeah.
Samuel Lincoln was playing for FC Basel. Puka Ajima was playing for, he was in Qatar.
Yeah.
I mean, Rabiu was playing in France.
Yeah, Sampdoria. He was in
These are
Sampdoria.
guys who were in the top flight football in Europe.
Yes.
So you ask of that time, who was the goalkeeper? Richard Olele.
Yeah.
He was one of the best.
And he was even our captain.
So comparatively to what we have today, the difference is big. So you cannot compare that 2010 AFCON to Cameroon 2020.
If you had to predict what will happen on Monday, what would be that prediction?
Honestly, Ghana will be the underdogs. I mean, yes, as much as we talk about 4 champions, you look at our performance and our preparation. The Moroccans has been quiet. Look at the names that you mentioned. Look at the clubs that they are playing. Even if they are coming in their individual attributes,
Yes.
of course, they'll be a little bit.
I know you know the man who is scouting Morocco for us, right?
I don't know.
Can we qualify out of that group? Is it possible?
Of course, it's possible.
Yeah.
This is football. I mean, if we do our homework well, if we organize ourselves well and approach the game the way it's just good for us, why not? We have individual players. Pate on any day will give it to you. Ishaku Fatau,
Yeah.
yes, as young as he is, he's got a strong heart.
Yeah.
Andre Ayew, Jordan Ayew, he's got individual players. But as a team, that is where my problem is. But let's see what happens on Monday.
Yusuf, we are wrapping up the conversation. Tell me, what would take Ghana to win against Morocco on Monday?
To win or to compete? I think, you know what? For some reason, I would want to see a bit of improvement in our set pieces. And I say this because obviously during open play, we've struggled to create chances ever since Miller took over.
Yeah.
I don't expect that problem to be solved in 2-3 days. It takes more than that. But in 2-3 days, you can really, really get better in set pieces. And to go back to the last edition of the World Cup, 42% of goals scored from that tournament came from set pieces. So that speaks a lot.
18%, right?
42.
42%. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge
Came
number.
from set pieces.
Yeah.
It is. So again, that's also something there. The sort of numbers are so great when we're talking about football. Teams are defending very deep now, so it's becoming more difficult for teams to get penetrated.
Yeah.
But one area that we can really take advantage of is set pieces. And going back to the game against Algeria again, in the first 10 throw-ins that we got, we gave about 7 away, and that counts as loss of possession in a game.
Wow.
So that is a lot, and that says, you know what, we haven't really had time to practice that. But if you're looking for a way to give yourself to compete and hopefully win in the next 2 or 3 days, you would have to turn to set pieces and master that very, very well. And that could give you a chance. Could be just rely on your experienced players, and hopefully one player come up with one moment of individual brilliance, just like we've had in our qualifiers. Don't forget, a lot of the goals we scored from qualifiers came from individual brilliance. So hopefully we continue to have that luck on our side. But set pieces for me would be a way that we could actually turn attention to and hopefully get some goals out of that.
So based on the team we have, you do think we can qualify out of the group? You think so? Morocco, Comoros,
I wouldn't say it's not possible. Everything is possible. Is it going to be difficult? Absolutely, it is going to be difficult. You can't even overlook Comoros. This is a modern game we're talking about here.
Wow.
Is it going to be a challenge? For sure, of course, it's going to be, because we're not very prepared, and you can't leave anything out here. So I hope we get out of the group stage.
And from
for
there,
the next one, It's not going to be.
We start going and going and going and going.
Exactly. That's going to be where you face the real world. You know, it's like coming out of high school and you're all excited, only to know life is really waiting for you out there with reality. So it's going to be a tough one.
So the reality will be waiting for us after the group stages. Yusuf, I appreciate your time. But let me wrap up with Oreku. The Ghana FA had said that they were going to arrive in Cameroon today for the competition, but they've decided to review that. And is this enough time for Milo to maybe work on some of the mistakes he probably saw or some of the issues in the team before the first game on Monday?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, the every day counts, especially when it comes to training and, paying attention to the tiny details. I always say that a goal is conceded after a series of mistakes. And so there are always 4 or 5 players who could have done better. So there's always something to work on. And as I rightly mentioned, going forward, the team needs to learn a lot more in terms of the movement and the positions to occupy. So I think it's a good move, especially because they spent majority of the time in Doha without some of their key players.
Yeah.
So at least they are close to the full squad now. Yes. And hopefully they'll be able to maximize the final few days. But I looking ahead to the group, I think it's important that we qualify well.
Okay.
If you qualify as a third best placed team, you could be facing a really tough side. And it's always good to send a good message across and, end up finishing first or second.
Okay. Oreku, thanks very much. And we appreciate the company of everyone, especially our guest from Yusuf Faisal Chipsa. He's the head of recruitment for Charlotte FC. Coach Abubakar Damba, a former Black Stars goalkeeper. Coach Ibn Zasafa, a scout, and Orego Ampofo of the Joy Sports team. So everyone who was able to join us here on the AM Sports, I am Muftar Nabila Abla. We appreciate your company this morning.